We live in a post-truth society, meaning that the social reality within our contemporary historical period is constituted by collective fear. After the 2024 first presidential debate, the liberal media machine has turned itself into oblivion. The liberal focus on aesthetics over actual politics will be the self-fulfilling prophecy it sets out to be. Going into this debate, every single person on the planet knew that Joe Biden is geriatric and sometimes an inarticulate speaker that has some gaffes, yet the left-wing media's coverage on this debate has focused on this fact, rather than hammer home some substantive arguments of significant magnitude or focus on the absolutely insane amounts of lies perpetrated by the anti-democracy and rights candidate Donald Trump, who is quite literally recorded from multiple different sources as having told 30,573 lies during his first and hopefully only term, and he has literally been recorded as having told 5,276 lies in one day. Those are absolutely just crazy stats to hold. But since liberals and conservatives alike feel like Trump being merely more articulate at times than Joe Biden and coming off as overall more energetic, that means that he must be more fit for office and we have to replace Joe Biden off of the Democratic ticket. No, what needs to happen is instead of folding into that bullshit narrative, the media needs to start actually covering the substance of the debate, like I will be in this video by first going over some out of the overwhelming heap of lies that Trump was spewing, and after that I'm going to highlight some of the big dunks of substance that Biden had. Lie number 1. Donald Trump downplayed January 6, which had 2,000 to 5,000 violent rioters who had guillotines placed outside, made death threats to official representatives, and broke into the Capitol.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically.
These violent rioters who Donald Trump calls patriots and wants to pardon caused 174 police officers to get injured and led to 4 officers' suicide within 7 months after the attack on our democracy. He stated that this was actually the fault of Nancy Pelosi because he offered her 10,000 National Guard, which she declined.
Nancy Pelosi saying, "Oh no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down."
This is false because that is not even up to Nancy Pelosi. That is up to the Capitol Police Board, which she has not been recorded of even having made that alleged request to dismiss the National Guard. And it also wouldn't make much sense for her to do that, and it would make way more sense for Trump to actually not want the National Guard to be there so that his cult followers could cause so much havoc that the election certification could be delayed and hence give Trump more time and potential to be able to undemocratically overthrow the legally proven on multiple occasions fair and legitimate 2020 presidential election. Hence, that's why he didn't sign an order to send the amount of soldiers he claims to have suggested, and Trump would still be the bad guy even if he would have sent 10,000 National Guard soldiers, which he didn't, because he's the one who encouraged the rioters to go and cause havoc in the first place, and he didn't release a video telling his sycophant base to go home for 3 hours and 7 minutes after his inciting speech.
Now it is up to Congress to confront this egregious assault on our democracy. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol. And we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them, because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
Line number 2. Trump says Biden wants to raise your taxes by 4 times.
But we spared that tax spared. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax.
That's not true. Biden has stated many times that he will prevent tax increases on anyone making less than $400,000, which means taxes will increase for the top 2% of Americans, but not the bottom 98%. Which also, Biden has put those taxes to good use for things like the $1.5 trillion infrastructure bill that got us expansion of access to clean water, help ensure everyone access to high-speed internet, repair roads and bridges with a focus on mitigating the effects of climate change, was the largest investment in public transit in United States history, with the goal to improve transportation options and reduce greenhouse gas emissions, upgrade ports and airports that helped our supply chain issues and created more jobs while doing it. There's now a national network of electric vehicle chargers which will encourage a gradual switch to the more eco-friendly option. Upgraded our power infrastructure to be more clean and reliable with the goal of obtaining a future with net zero emissions, and was the largest tackle on legacy pollution in American history. And he also expanded Medicare and increased its protections while also furthering Medicare's ability to negotiate drug prices and hence make them more affordable and accessible. For example, the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed under Biden capped insulin for older Americans at $35, which cut the national average for older patients on Medicare nearly in half. Well, Trump wants to lower taxes for the ultra-wealthy again, and in result cut both Social Security and Medicare, which he blames as being shitty because of migrants draining the resources of, and I don't know why, but it seems more reasonable to me that it's because of him cutting funding for the programs, because even illegal immigrants pay more in taxes than they receive in benefits. Lie number 3. Trump claimed to have the best environmental numbers during his term as president.
During my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever.
That's just straight up cap. Bro appointed a climate change denier to be the head of the EPA because his agenda was to deregulate, which his environmental deregulations will be responsible for 1.8 billion tons of greenhouse gas emissions by 2035. Biden, in turn, has done a historical amount to address climate change. I went over most of his wins in his championed infrastructure bill, but he also had many in the Inflation Reduction bill that he pushed, which is why the most prominent environmental organizations have endorsed him. Lie number 4. Trump said that Biden and the Democrats want to allow abortions up till 9 months and sometimes even after birth.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth.
Killing birth children is not being advocated for by anyone, especially Joe Biden, and Trump's appeal to late-term abortions here is a red herring, as they make up less than 1% of abortions in the United States. Trump wants to sign a bill to federally mandate pregnancy and childbearing after 6 weeks of pregnancy. Lie number 5. Trump said Biden called black people super predators.
For 10 years, he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that.
That was actually Hillary Clinton who said that, but, well, Joe Biden did support the crime bill, and you can criticize him for that. What is actually important is his attitude now, and he has led some actual beneficial crime reforms such as rescheduling marijuana from a federal class 1 drug to a class 3 drug, and also forgiving some sentences of nonviolent incarcerated individuals. The real lie here, though, is that Trump is trying to convey that he isn't racist when we can't forget that he generalized Latino immigrants as criminals and rapists based on their race. He called African countries shithole countries, and he called for the death penalty of the Central Park Five, who were a group of 5 young black men who were found innocent in the court of law, and claimed that black people relate to him being arrested, and also said that they want to vote for him because of his sneakers, and he's been sued by the Justice Department for alleged racial discrimination at Trump housing developments in New York. Lie number 6. Trump just straight up lies that Biden's border policies have caused hundreds of thousands of people to die.
He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying and also killing our citizens when they come in.
When that's just factually not correct. And Trump is the one who ordered the spineless Republican Congress people to not pass the bipartisan border legislation that Biden actually supported, because Trump wanted to campaign on the issue of immigration again, even though when he did that in 2016, when he was elected, he didn't even build the wall and make Mexico pay for it like he promised. And that's because he literally didn't do anything policy-wise other than increase drone strikes by 500%, about implement tax cuts that mostly benefited only the ultra-wealthy. He cut Social Security and Medicare along with other forms of deregulation, and he failed miserably by trying to pass a couple of unconstitutional racist policies like ending DACA and his self-titled Muslim ban that got struck down by the Supreme Court. Lie number 7. Trump claims the economy under his presidency was the best in U.S. history.
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well.
The economy is better under Joe Biden in every meaningful statistical measure. Joe Biden has had higher GDP growth by 1.6% with a total of 8.4% growth compared to Trump's 6.8% growth. Jobs shrank under Trump and grew under Biden, exceeding economists' expectations. And with how poorly Donald Trump handled the coronavirus by spreading that it was a hoax and not taking it seriously, allowing for it to grab a hold and manhandle the United States at first, he caused the U.S. to lose 20 million jobs. Inflation was also largely caused by Trump's tax cuts and him begging the Federal Reserve not to raise interest rates. And real wages have continued to increase under Biden, which means even accounting for inflation, wages have continued to grow. On top of that, Biden is way more pro-union. Unions have continued to endorse him, and he's literally shown up at strikes, which I cannot remember the last time a United States president has done that. Certainly not Trump. Lie number 8. Trump attempted to take credit for calling in the National Guard to quell a Black Lives Matter protest, even though he didn't, and he was just trying to convince us earlier that he is the best candidate for black people. Even though he is literally, in this instance, calling for militarized armed soldiers to be at a Black Lives Matter protest after the unjust instance of racialized violence that was George Floyd's murder.
Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed.
Enough of the malarkey, onto the Biden dunks from the first presidential debate of 2024. An honorable mention to the dunks is that Biden starts with an absolutely killer opening statement, just dunking and slapping his nuts across Donald Trump's face over and over and over again.
President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
Mr. Trump left me. An economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. The economy collapsed. And so what we had to do was try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, but there's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination, what I was left with in corporate greed, is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos. Literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, and we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans, beginning next year.
Dunk number 1. Trump wants to implement a federal 6-week abortion ban.
What I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade. This is something that everybody wanted.
This is something that nobody wanted except for people who get no bitch. But I'm glad that at least Trump is openly admitting that he is responsible, because he actually is.
Like Ronald Reagan,
Bro's name dropping Ronald Reagan in 2024.
I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected.
Holy yap. Talk about fucking gaffes. Also, drain the swamp. Bro is the swamp. He literally alludes to being a hack and cowardice and not actually campaigning on his true beliefs of no exceptions included in rape and when the mother's health is in danger, but he's only going to not try and prohibit those federally because he wants to get elected.
The country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. 6 weeks. You don't even know whether you're pregnant or not. You cannot see a doctor and have him decide on whether you need help. If I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade. We are not for late-term abortion, period. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do if the MAGA Republicans control the Congress and they pass a universal ban on abortion at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
True. And this issue in and of itself just shows that Trump's blatant disregard for bodily autonomy and Biden's understanding of that concept, that Biden's will is genuinely better than Trump's. Dunk number 2. Trump wants to cut taxes for the ultra wealthy again, Well, cutting Social Security and Medicare.
He's the only one who thinks that he had the greatest economy in the world. His economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began.
Damn, bro hit him with the 2-for-1 special. Said, bro, you just are running to give tax cuts to your ultra-wealthy friends again and cut things like Social Security and Medicare. And you're over here breaking records of fucking ass because you left with less jobs than you came in. That's bad. Dunk number 3. Trump is an anti-democratic and retributively motivated candidate who has, in effect, taken away our rights and wishes to continue to do so.
After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail.
Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
The idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before.
This is facts. This is borderline fascistic rhetoric by someone who's already threatened to suspend our Constitution and attempted to overturn a fair and legitimate election, which has been proven multiple times to have been fair and legitimate. And he's even admitted to being responsible for taking away some of our core modern liberties, such as abortion. The fourth and final dunk for this video, Bronim absolutely clowned bro by proving that he has alley cat morals.
The crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, of having sex with a porn star while your wife was pregnant? You have the morals of an alley cat.
I didn't have sex with a porn star.
I can't believe that Donald Trump's first response isn't no, he didn't molest a woman in public. It isn't no, he didn't cheat on his pregnant wife. It's no, he didn't have sex with a porn star. He chose the lamest and worst defense. Hold on, hold the phone. I didn't have sex with a porn star. The audience will remember that. This is the substance that truly should be reported about the debate. If you liked the video, drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to not miss another one in the future. And if you're looking for a community of like-minded people, go ahead and join the Discord. The link is right there on the screen, and peace.